Good morning. I wish it were morning. It's actually afternoon. This is ValorCraft Workshop. This is my physical shop, and it's the mental one too. What this space is, if you are not familiar with the channel, or if you've not been here before, you've not seen my previous videos, is ValorCraft Workshop, the channel, the YouTube channel. ValorCraft Workshop is this physical space. It's the mental space. This is me thinking publicly, thinking out loud. This isn't me teaching. This isn't for productivity porn, where you'd be sadly disappointed because I haven't been terribly productive. I like to think about being productive. I like to explore those ideas of being more efficient, optimizing systems, but it's a challenge for me to stay focused on one thing. I consider myself a multi-potentialite. I don't remember where I got that term from. It's not my own, but many different interests. And I struggled my entire adult life, probably even before my adult life, with too many interests and trying to manage my time and effort, resources, everything into all those different interests. And typically I'm disappointed because if you make everything your number one, nothing's really number one. And it's a recipe for failure in many aspects. So I don't want to dig a deep hole and get sad and depressed right now. Enough about that. But anyway, this is me thinking publicly and documenting how those ideas that I come up with, how they take shape. And the way they're taking shape currently, this is the current cycle that I use. I think about it, a thing. I have that thought. Then I write about it, and then I talk about it as I'm doing right now. Where the cycle began initially was thinking about an idea and then writing about it on Substack. On Fridays, I put it on my ValorCraft Workshop Substack page on Friday mornings. And then I think about those topics some more over the weekend. And then Monday, I give this Monday morning brief or the Monday morning live, where I just use that as my general outline for a topic I want to discuss or see where else it may lead. The goal is that these will be 20 minutes. I'm looking down because I'm going to set a timer for 25 minutes because I know it won't actually hit 20 minutes. I'll go past it. But I also don't have a lot of time beyond that. So I put myself up against a fence again today. Yeah, initially thought about something, wrote about something, and then spoke about it on Monday. And then on Mondays during these lives, I get more thoughts and from comments from people that may happen to view one of these videos. It usually prompts new thoughts, which leads to the next Friday's Substack article, essay, which leads to a new video the following Monday. And the cycle continues and continues. But the benefit for you is whether you want to watch things on YouTube, whether you want to read about them on Substack, or you want to do both, hybrid of each, or once in a while, wherever, you can do that because you can jump into that cycle wherever. And the framework I think things through, I call H3 or head, hands, and heart. And that is, head is the thinking about things, hands, making of things, creating things, and heart is giving those things meaning. So I'm big into Venn diagrams. So I picture this head, hands, heart as a Venn, and that spot in the center is the culmination of, or the combination of all these things. And then that fits into the cycle of thinking, writing, and then talking. So I had a bit of a epiphany moment over the weekend after writing last Friday that this idea of ValorCraft Workshop, or the idea that I guess the physical shop, is morphed over time. But really the idea of ValorCraft Workshop has probably been around since I've been around in different flavors, in different seasons, right? Like I grew up, let's just start when I'm in high school, even very much into music, into band, playing for the high school musicals. I was in a fife and drum corps, marching band, all these different things, right? And so my room in high school was very much centered around a drum set and percussion equipment and these types of things. After I joined the military, a few years down the line, started doing some woodworking, really horrible woodworking. And with easy tools that everyone starts with, like a jigsaw and a circular saw and things like that. And I was thinking before, like my first workshop was really a carport about 10 years into my career in the military, and a little shed off the back of the carport. But then I was thinking, no, it started before that. It was a shed. I had a half-acre lot in Kentucky, and I built a shed out back, and that became my workshop there. But then I thought, I built that shed. And so where did I build that shed? Well, I built it under the awning off the back of the house, which I also built. So I must have had some tools to be able to build that. And you keep rewinding further and further back, and so probably start on the front porch. Anyway, the physical space has changed over the years. I've had owned different houses or rented different houses with different configurations of garage space, workshop space, basement space, for music studio, for woodworking and other things, and then culminating here with this shop, and now with the 3D printing, which you might hear in the background, and laser engravers and all this other stuff too. That's the very quick history of the place. It didn't start, like the name ValorCraft Workshop didn't start until a couple of years ago, and it's not the official name of my company even. It's not the LLC. It is a DBA, doing business as ValorCraft. But it's more of a concept in that sense of the word, and didn't have a name before, but you can go back decades and I can find the trace elements that led to ValorCraft Workshop. If that makes any sense at all, I think maybe that should, and probably enough time spent on that. Yeah. So every space I've been in, you could say was an iteration of ValorCraft Workshop, and this is the current container, along with this container that's always been there. Head, Hands, Heart is the name of the game, is my work, is my framework. So last Friday's Substack was an essay that I called What Finishing Teaches That Planning Can't. Probably should have said cannot, but I did the contraction. What finishing teaches that planning cannot. And so planning, I do a lot of this, and I used to, my father passed last year, but we used to razz him a lot because he did a lot of planning, and that guy would take out his notebook and he'd draw it and measure it and lay all things out, and all the parts would sit there, everything was there. The thing he wouldn't do was actually finish it. And it's like, we tease him about that. And I'm exactly the same. Exactly the same. It's easy to pick up someone else's planning that you see them not doing it and then jumping in and going, hey, I'm going to do this now. Of course, he always liked to, I'll give the exact example of it that I'm thinking of. He gave this kind of becomes a long story. He used to give a certificate as a gift for something. So I remember he gave a certificate of a porch swing for my mom. A couple of years later, it actually turned into the porch swing. So he actually bought the porch swing at some point, put it together. But by this time, I think one of the supports was pretty much rotten already. So it wasn't too far down the line when the support was rotten and he had to replace that support beam. Otherwise, the thing, you couldn't sit on it. So there it is sitting in the garage with the drawing, with the measurements, with the board that needs to be cut out, all these different things, but he just didn't do it. So my mom asked me to do it. So I go do it. So it's so much easier to step in on someone else's planning that you see them not doing, pick it up and say, I'm going to finish this. And then you take all the credit for getting the thing done. And then, so then it gets done. But it wasn't your own to begin with. So anyway, I'm working on this thing because my mom asked me to take care of it. I'm taking care of it. And then Dad walks along, of course, and he's, hey, why don't you do it like this? Hey, and I said, get out of your garage, his garage, get out of your garage. This job's been handed to me now. And you had your chance for the last 15 years and you didn't get it done, and somehow would take care of it. So planning feels very productive. I know my dad felt productive in all the planning, very detailed in it. And I do the same. I've done this when I was a kid. I wanted to open a drum shop, and I'd make all the plans of what kinds of drumsticks would I carry? What kind of drum sets would I carry? How many pairs of sticks would I need? How many, whatever, just created this fake store, fake inventory, because the planning of it felt so satisfying. I don't think I was ever really intending on opening a drum shop. I never did, of course. But it's the same thing with my Etsy shops. The planning part is great. Coming up with the idea for the name of the store, coming up with the idea for some of the product lines, all fun, but actually executing or getting things listed are my least favorite things. Getting things listed is my least favorite thing. doesn't take that long. It's just boring stuff I don't like to do, but it needs to be done. So again, planning feels productive and it traps you into this feeling like you did something when you really just thought about doing something, didn't actually do it. Finishing is what actually changes you to where you get that sense of accomplishment of, oh, wow, I actually did that. That thing is done. Like anything I've actually completed that I can walk past and see, like signs that I've done or whatever else maybe finish. Or like when I pack up an order, I make a duck and I pack it up and send it off. So, okay, good. These are tangible things. I see the packing list receipts and stuff, and I know it's been done. It's a really good feeling. But you don't learn the truth about all of it until you're done either. When you're planning, it's rose-colored glasses and everything goes as planned, and everything takes a lot less time than it does in real life. And real life doesn't get in the way. Like you don't have a plumbing failure and a water leak at the house that pulls you away from getting the other things done for a week. And you don't run into things like this lettering project I did at my Pilates instructor's studio recently. Lots of research on every different type of tape under the sun. I wanted something that was going to hold these letters on the wall, but also be removable with a little bit of effort in case we changed our mind or where things were going or whatever. If they had to move, I wanted to be able to move them, but I wanted them to stay firm. And all the different tapes I had were like, no, these will work. And they did right until they didn't. So that was sad to get the call or get the note of, hey, some of these letters fell. Do you want me to just glue them back up? No, don't touch them. Like I need to get them up. There's 60 some letters that went up. So I ended up going back in, pulling all the tape down and re-adhering them with CA glue and Tight Bond 3. But I wouldn't have known that up front because all the research I did was like, I had the right tape. I had several different of the right tape and then was deciding which one was the right tape for me and all in on it, planning good. And it took twice as long really because I had to redo all of that and peel all the tape back off. It took hours. In fact, it would have taken a lot less time. Probably would have taken me 2 hours just to stick them up if I did it with glue to begin with. And it wouldn't have taken 2 or 3 hours of actually taping each of these and cutting them to make sure the tape wasn't exposed from the outside looking in and all that. Lesson learned after the fact. Planning couldn't have taught me that. Finishing taught me that. And finishing twice. Finished once, I thought I was done, felt very good about it, and then finished again. And now I think it's been up for a week and they have not fallen. I don't think they're going anywhere. Hope you like them where they're at because they're not going. But it also taught me, as I've been planning a very long time on another part of this project, which includes 3 different signs are going up on the wall art, I was going to use a different type of tape for those letters on the sign, but now I'm not doing tape at all. Like now I know how they're going up. They get glued the way the letters did. So sometimes taking a really long ass time to plan could help you. Or if you plan your projects sequentially rather than mushing them all together, you can learn from one and then apply those principles to the next. A really long story long to express that point of finishing actually teaches you that the stuff that planning couldn't. And this is why in the military we do after action reviews. This is where we get our lessons learned is from after it. We'll talk about the different phases of things, about planning, what went well in the planning, what we didn't account for. And then in the execution phase, okay, what went well in the execution, what were our assumptions of what would work, and then what did we find out didn't actually work? So again, planning feels productive. Finishing actually changes you, teaches you things, and you derive all those lessons learned from actually finishing something. And it builds momentum too. Once you finish something and you feel that accomplished, that's the best time to like, all right, let's get started on the next thing. I have proof that I can do something. I have proof that it can look good and people like it. And it's like, that's the best momentum, the best boost to get right into the next thing. And all right, let's keep this thing rolling. I'm feeling that this week based off getting this thing successfully finished last week. That part of it finished last. So I invite you to hop over to Substack. I'll drop the link when I edit this video. I'll drop the link for that specific essay and read the other ones that are there as well. But read it, argue with it, make some comments, poke holes in my thoughts or ask questions about it, sit with it a bit, whatever. Comment here, comment there. The whole idea is thinking out loud, thinking publicly, and hopefully having a discussion with folks that are watching and reading as well. So one of the other things I've been thinking over the last several days is about the 80-20 rule or the Pareto principle. And I've been thinking about it in the inverse. The Pareto principle is a Italian something philosopher, maybe late 1800s. This is the idea of 20% of your effort yields 80% of the output or the effect. Or put another way, 80% of the effect comes from 20% of the effort. So of your 100% pie of effort, only 20% is really yielding the most from that. So I probably need to think through this one a little bit more. And so I've flipped this around of, if I want to be successful in any of these different ventures I have, I've got 3 different Etsy shops, plus I do custom work and stuff locally. And then there's family and there's home life and there's travel and there's eventually I want to play some hockey again, or at least skate some more or read and do all these other things. So even putting all those other things aside, if I want to be successful at this one thing, like if I want to make a good effort at making these wall signs or this wall art, I feel I have to put 80% of my effort there to make that happen, because you can't spread yourself so thin. I can't put 20% here, 20% there, whatever. But so while I have the idea of, hey, I want to be successful at the custom work, so I'm going to put my effort there. But I also want to be successful in the, What the Duck toy company. So I'm going to put 80% of my effort there. And I also want to arpeggio design and ValorCraft Workshop. I want to put my effort there. And then the content piece of this, I want to put the effort there. If I'm putting 80% here and here, it's like I've overdrafted my effort account, and I don't have overdraft protection on my time, because you don't get the time back. So that's definitely a good analogy of, it's like withdrawing. You pay penalties because there's things that you had to get done that you didn't get done because you put your focus on this other thing. You put your time in the other thing, which didn't leave time for the thing you had to do in a different area. This sort of Pareto principle in reverse of, where do you put your effort? And if you do truly, because I forget the name of the book. I think it's called The One Thing or something like that. I forget the name of the author, and I haven't read it. So I might be making up his main principles of it. But it's picking that one thing. And I really admire those that can. I can't, because I've got too many things I want to do. This is where all my thought is lately, is thinking like, how could I trim down? What would that one thing be? And could I pick a one thing to where all the other things are just like sub-characters, co-stars, or even extras, not even co-stars. So can I pick that one thing? And that one thing could just be the entire workshop, right? And then I got to split stuff within it. Or it could be one of the stores within the shop. Right? Or one set of tools, like maybe it's not woodworking, maybe it's 3D printing, maybe it's laser, but it can't be all of them. I think that's the point. It's like, you can't, if you see 6 different pies that you want to have for dessert, you want to try them all. You don't get a real sense of it unless you have a full piece of something, but you can't possibly eat a piece from each of them and not get sick. So I'm sure there's a zillion different analogies I could use. So I've been giving my 80% effort to this, that, or at least thinking I am, because a lot of it is, I do a lot of planning within each of those. I'll jump around and like, all right, let me brainstorm product line ideas for this store, and then for that store, and for that store. And then let me split on another store, and now I go through it again. And that's great. I got a list of ideas, and then it comes to executing on it. And then I don't have the time to do that. I don't have the resources to do it. I don't have the skill to do it yet. I don't have the effort to do it. So too many stores, too many product lines, too many parallel, almost priorities. There's a lot of things that take some urgency in the moment, but in the end aren't all that important to me. So if you back up a couple of essays ago, I'm looking at January. I was exploring where things are going. I didn't set out 2026 goals. I didn't have New Year's resolutions at the beginning of the year. Maybe I should have, but I spent January kind of thinking through where I want things to go in 2026. And I talked about this concept of addition by subtraction. And the idea there is by removing some things from your life, whether there's physical stuff, whether it's, I'm not putting effort in this, I'm going to shift my efforts to this other place instead. And will this yield more results, more effect by removing things? So how do I increase output by reducing input? Like, it seems a little counterintuitive of, if you reduce the input, you're going to get less output also. And I don't believe that is true. I believe what is true is this, where it ties back to Pareto principle a little bit. It's that 20% of effort that yields the 80% result. So a lot of the subtraction is, it's not even so much subtraction as it is focusing, refocusing each of those efforts that I've been trying to do the 80%. See, I'm thinking publicly, this is coming to me right now. Refocusing those efforts where I felt like I'm putting 80% effort here, and 80% effort there, and 80% effort there, and 80% effort there, all these different places. If I can focus them to where I'm actually really only putting 20% here, and 20% there, and 20% there, and 20% there, but I'm getting the 80% result on the other end, that's the addition I get from the subtraction or the focus. So February is subtraction month. And again, some of that is physical stuff. There's equipment I don't use anymore. I'm going to clean it up and sell it. There's camera gear I don't use anymore. I'm cleaning it up and selling it. There's just garbage. There's empty boxes back there or they're not empty yet, but I need to go through some stuff, throw some stuff out, sell some stuff, store stuff if I need it, get rid of it. So that's February. Get rid of stuff, clear the docket. And it's also not just getting rid of stuff, but it's finishing stuff. So open projects I've got with the Pilates studio, these things are getting done in February, not taking on new things until these old things are done. I'm not listing new ducks until the ones I've printed already, or I'm not printing new ducks until that's not true, because I'm just in ducks right now, but they're Super Bowl related, have to. But I'm being very selective about what new things I print, because I need to get things listed. So I need to clear the dockets. And that's what February is all about, is clearing the docket, subtracting, focusing efforts to yield greater results, and getting rid of physical stuff that's not serving me anymore, because it's all just stuff. I'm keeping it PG. It's all just stuff. And it's stuff I can buy again if I ever chose to. There's my 25-minute alarm. I'm going to ignore it. So subtracting, focusing, that's going to clear the mental bandwidth as I finish projects. Again, learn lessons from every project finished. Have that sense of accomplishment. Landscaping guys pick the best times to come by with their leaf blower, and they're blowing away my train of thought with again, finishing the things gives me momentum, gives me some lessons learned, thrusts me into that next project to get that one completed. And as you start completing these things, feeling really good. We're leaving for a trip for spring break, second week of March. So it's my timeline. I've got about 4 weeks to finish these other jobs, not take on new ones, clear some physical stuff out of the shop. And so when I get back from that trip, now I've got the rest of March and April. Those are my addition months. And those are months that I'm hoping to see the greatest effort or greatest effect from the reduced effort, or the more focused effort, greater effect, and hoping for gains there. So, and it's going to remove a lot of that background guilt as well of, God, I'm on a treadmill or spinning on a hamster wheel of planning, talking about doing and not doing. So I'm going to do, and I'm going to finish, and it's going to feel so good. And that vacation is going to feel awesome, because there's going to be nothing on my mind other than coming back to the studio afterward, and everything's cleared and ready to do what I need to do. Yeah. So this subtraction is all in the service of finishing and getting things done. So again, that cycle, if you're new here, is I think about things, I write about things, and then I talk about things. You can hop into that cycle anytime you want. You can check it out over on Substack, the writing, and you're in the right place to listen to me talk, or to watch me talk with my hands a lot. February is about subtraction, and March and April will be testing what remains, testing, did I focus enough in February? Did I subtract enough in February? Did I pull the obstacles out of the way? Did I remove everything that's not serving me? Is there still more that needs to go? But as I said before, and the planning's great, it feels productive, but what's really going to teach me the lessons is finishing these things. Is going to be actually getting rid of stuff and focusing things, finishing the projects and getting those lessons learned from that. It's going to let me know what's left to do, because I think this cycle of subtraction and addition by subtraction is going to be continuous, and it's going to be another loop that I'll have to visit probably monthly of, okay, review at the end of the month. All right, what still needs to go? How can I hone my efforts even more? So that's what's happening. So this isn't about doing more. It's about doing fewer things well enough to finish them and learn from them and grow from them. So this is ValorCraft Workshop. This is ValorCraft Workshop, and this is ValorCraft Workshop. Head, hands, and heart. That's the work. That's the framework I work within, and I will see you next week.